Hello and welcome to the video. Now, I'm not a big believer in New Year's resolutions and things like that, but at the start of this year, I said to myself that I would do some more things to push myself out of my comfort zone. And that's exactly what this is. Now, I much prefer to be the other side of the camera, but I thought, you know, practice what you preach and get in front of the camera and just see how we get on. So that's what I'm doing. So this is going to be a learning experience for me and for you, I expect. So what is the point of this video? Well, I recently published a blog post with some of my favourite photos from 2018 on it, and I thought it'd be nice to have a video that accompanied it, explaining why some of those photos made the blog post, and also a bit about my thought process behind the photos, what I like about them, what was going through my mind while I was taking them, what I was looking for, and most importantly, why I think they work as good frames. So let's get straight into it. I've made some choices already. I'm just going to go through a few, and let's just kick things off with this frame here. So this is from Lisa and Andy's wedding up in Liverpool. This is in the Titanic Hotel, and it really is just an incredible hotel. When I walked into this room and saw the layout, the light, the textures, I was just like, this is the dream location for bridal prep. It has this kind of like painterly effects. It almost, the lighting and the shadows, it's perfect for how I like to shoot. I like to kind of keep the shadows. I'm not someone who boosts shadows. I really like to shoot for highlights, so I'm really trying to work with the light I've got. And it wasn't just the beautiful natural window light that was coming in. Also the spotlights and the lamps and things that were through the room really helped add to the sort of the context of this image. Now, as a composition, I absolutely love building kind of quite complex full frames. So this sort of the shape of this room and the way the girls were sitting in the room really sort of lent itself to that style. So it was just a case of kind of getting in position and waiting really for the right sort of moment. So I do like to keep my verticals vertical. So as you can tell, I'm kind of down low. I'm slightly lower than the young lady in the chair here. I'm kind of keeping at the same head height as everyone in the room, keeping my verticals nice and straight. And I've kind of bookended my composition with the mother of the bride here and the hairstylist, sorry, on the end here. Hair lady? Where did that come from? Hairstylist on the end. So I was just waiting for some things to happen. I shot a few frames, but what I particularly like about this one was I was waiting for the hairspray to be sprayed, because she was doing it intermittently through the moment, but I wanted it. It was obvious to me that it was going to be lit, so I kind of was waiting for this to happen, and I kind of got lucky with this girl with the lady with the hand. You know, that to me just a nice little extra bit of composition, just nice little element. I think it would still have worked without that, but it just adds that extra element of interest. Now the dress hanging in the background, I did actually put the dress there, so I shot. Because, you know, the dress is a big part of the bridal prep, so if it's in a bag on the bed or something, it doesn't really do anything. It's not really it's not adding to the story. Whereas if you put it in the frame, you know, you're adding context, you're adding story to this image, and so that's why I did it. It's just hanging there. It's in the light. It looks good. It's a beautiful dress. Leave it in there. Get it out. So yeah, so that's probably one of my favourites from bridal prep this year. It's just one of those images that when everything comes together, it just works really nicely. So let's have a look at this one. So this is from Jess and James's wedding in Sorrento in Italy. Again, such a beautiful part of the world. We've been shooting portraits for maybe 10 or 15 minutes earlier in the afternoon, and they were just having their dinner, and as they were having their dinner, the sun was coming down. And it always seems to be the way with destination weddings that the light kind of coincides on exactly when the dinner's going to be, because obviously everyone has this beautiful idea that they're going to have their dinner outside in the sun, and of course that is absolutely lovely, but as a photographer, it's like, oh man, I want to get out there and get some nice portraits. This is like the perfect time. And luckily most of my couples are really up for that. It doesn't take long. It takes maybe 10 minutes maximum. And this was the case. We literally ran to this tree courtyard area with these lovely, interesting trees. We ran straight in. Sun was coming down. These guys were so natural in front of the camera. I mean, I didn't have to tell them anything. Everything about this frame was them. You know, I just lined everything up. But the moment, the intimacy between the two of them, that's them, and it really reflects their personality. So I just love it. It's a very simple composition, really. It's nice and balanced. It works well. It's got some nice tones. It's just nice. The light was right in between them. It's got that sort of otherworldly look. I shoot Fujis, and lots of people seem to think that Fujis can't flare and you can't get nice sort of effects with shooting into the sun with Fujis. But this is kind of imperative to me. This is what these cameras do, and this is why I like them, really. So I think that works quite nicely. Let's move on to this image. So this is from Dan and Rachel's wedding in Sri Lanka, which was just an absolute blast. These guys were fantastic. They're just such lovely, warm people, so welcoming. They had a relatively small wedding in Sri Lanka with their closest friends and family, and they welcomed me and my wife Ellen as if we were guests. Basically, we really got to know them. And we're still in contact now. They're such a lovely couple. But this moment was when Rachel and her dad were coming down to walk into the ceremony. So I didn't really know what to expect. I knew they were going to have dances, I knew there was something going to happen, but I don't think any of us, to be honest with you, really knew exactly what was going to happen. And so this kind of big, intricate dancing thing, it must have taken about 10 minutes to get from the bridal prep room into the ceremony, but it worked so nicely. It was brilliant. So for me, I loved being close. There's nothing better than being right in the action for me and trying to make the compositions work by getting close. A big fan of the Robert Capa quote that if your photos aren't good enough, you aren't close enough. And I kind of always have had that in the back of my mind, really. And he was shooting war photos, so if he's telling you that the best way to get photos is to get close in a literal life or death situation, then as a wedding photojournalist or a wedding photographer, we've got no excuse, really. We're invited into this day. So here I am. I mean, you can tell I'm close because I'm literally on one of these guys' shoulders. I'm really close into the action. Just wanted to get some context as to what was happening. Rachel and her dad laughing their heads off. We're just having the blast. So it was it was a simple idea, really, to frame them in there like that. And the faces of Dan and of Rachel and her father there just say it all, really. They were just having the best time ever. This frame is quite an interesting one, actually, because this was really a grab, this shot. So essentially what is happening here is this was from Jenna and Kevin's wedding in Italy, and this is the bridesmaids basically getting their face ready for the morning. You know, they're having facials or whatever, face masks, I guess they are. So what I was actually doing was I was photographing the lady in the mirror. So I was just lining this shot up. The lady on the left here, she was there, but she was looking down. She was putting the mask on. So I knew she was going to put her head up, and I kind of thought she would mirror the hands of the girl on the right, or the lady on the right. So I thought she would, you know, maybe come up and sort of push the mask onto her face. So that's what I was kind of waiting for. But she kind of just got up really quickly and just looked straight at me, and I just fired off a shot. And then she was like, "Oh my God, no, don't take a picture of me looking like this." And, you know, it was one of those sort of moments. But at the time, I just knew this clip, and there's just something really weird about this photo. But I really, really like it. I think it's got a lot of character, and it's good fun. And Jenna and Kevin thought it was really funny, and, you know, it's just one of those fun little frames, really. So this next image here, this is from Sonia and Chris's wedding. And this is one of those full frames that I really like to do. I'm a big fan of kind of bookending frames. You'll probably notice that with these full frames of mine. So rather than having empty space on the edges, I always try and, you know, anchor the frame really with someone on the left and someone on the right if possible. So in this case, obviously, it's the groom Chris on the right. He's anchoring it in. His eyes are bringing us straight down into the action here. And what's actually happening is this is Sonia's grandmother, who is signing the register. So she was one of the witnesses to the wedding, and she's signing the register. So this is a big moment for the family. In the background here, we can see Chris's mum, no, Sonia's mum, sorry, and Sonia just having a moment together there. So there's a couple of interesting elements to this frame, but the bit that I was really interested in is this bit at the front here with grandmother signing the register. That's a really special moment for the family, and I just wanted to get it in context. I did also shoot some tight frames, just of the grandmother doing her thing here. You know, some nice detail stuff, because it took a minute or so. So I had time to get a nice couple of frames of this. But for me, this one really is the storyteller. This is the context shot, and it's nice and busy, nice and full frame. And as a documentary photographer, this is what we're looking for, really. So that's that one. Oh, this one is also from Sonia and Chris's wedding. This is the little girl in the crowd. So I'd actually just gone onto the roof of their house, because they got married in their family home, in Sonia's family home. And so basically I'd been on the roof of the house and I shot the group photo. So we did a group photo of everybody. And I shot that wide, and then I sort of turned to walk away from the roof to go back inside and come down to the action. And for some reason I just stayed up there, and I got out a longer lens. And I actually think I shot this on a zoom lens that I just sort of have as a backup. So I was I think I was literally looking through it like a sniper almost, just looking through to see if anything was happening. And I clocked this little girl who just happened to see me. So I took a couple of frames. I thought it was quite interesting. She was looking up at me a bit confused, but it was quite a sweet little moment. And then obviously as I've gone through and culled it and processed this image, I've noticed that no one else is looking. And that really is what makes this image special for me. It's a full, interesting frame, busy frame, lots of stuff going on, but this single little girl right in the middle with making eye contact, I absolutely love it. It's really different. I don't usually go for eye contact in images. I always kind of think that breaks the illusion, but there's something really special about, I think, having so many faces with no eye contact and just this one girl dead center of the frame. It worked out really nicely. It was quite a lucky one, but I really like that shot. What else have we got here? Okay, this is from Nearly and Chig's wedding. This is again, this is a detail shot. So this isn't really, it's a storytelling shot for sure, because it's part of the ceremony. But I love hands. It's kind of a trigger for me almost, of when you're sort of waiting for something to happen. If there's someone who's very expressive with their hands, or using their hands, or they're doing something that involves having to move their hands, it's almost like a magnet, and I'm just sort of drawn to it. And this is a perfect example. This whole frame is built around hands. There's no faces in this frame whatsoever. But we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 hands basically. And there's lots going on. It's a simple frame. It's quite a busy frame, but it's got a simple moment. And it's an important part of the process of the ceremony itself. I'm not entirely sure exactly what is happening at this moment, if I'm completely honest. But I know that so much goes on through these Hindu ceremonies that you just want to capture everything, and I'm really pleased with that one. This one is from Jesse and Alex's wedding, and again, this was just, I was just waiting for Jesse to arrive actually. This was earlier a little bit later in the summer. I think it was in September last year. And we're just waiting for Jesse to arrive to kick things off, and the girls were just standing outside. It was almost kind of a nothing moment at one point, but there was just something about the fact that they were kind of standing in this kind of very unwedding-y sort of moment. You've got the car park pay machine, the pay here, no public access or whatever that sign says. The actual venue is behind, and it's a beautiful venue. It's East Quay in Whitstable. It's one of my favourites to shoot at. But this little bit here is just out of context. It's quite random. But then I clocked this little sign pointing towards the wedding that they'd had put up, and I thought I'd use that as a lead-in line. Again, this was kind of a very quick reactive shot. The girls all standing there, the wind blowing. It's just a nice frame. It's a good little storytelling shot, and of course it just about kicks off before the ceremony starts. So it's a nice lead into that moment as well. What else have we got here? Oh, okay, so this one is from Rob and Ria's wedding, and they actually built this game. I'd never seen this at a wedding before, but you basically throw beanbags through a hole, and it was really fun to watch, and I got some really nice frames from this because there was lots of cheering and shouting, and it got very competitive, as I'm sure you would expect. So because Rob, the gentleman in this photo, the groom, he actually built this, so there's a connection to him and this game anyway. And I just really wanted to kind of frame this interestingly, and try and make something, make an interesting frame out of it. And I had this in my mind as soon as I saw it. I wondered if this would work, and I think it works really nicely. It's quite a simple composition, but you get what's happening. And I took a beanbag to the face for this one, so yeah, it might hold a special place in my heart. But also, I like shooting through things to add context. There's another example here, I think, again from Jesse and Alex's wedding, shooting through a boat like window just to add a bit of context. I really like this because I love the blues, the tones. But the actual composition, I'm just shooting through the boat window just to add a bit of context, and make it a bit more creative. I think that works quite nicely. So I'm always looking for shooting through things like that. Okay, this is from Amy and Javier's wedding, down in down in Devon. And wow, I mean, that could be anywhere in the world, that photo. The coastline is just incredible down there. But this was looking for something a little bit different, so silhouette. So this was like a big game of rounders, basically. It's not super clear from this image unless you know the context, but there's a gentleman running here, the guy pointing. Like, this is essentially a game of rounders happening right in front of us. There is actually a ball in the middle there, but it's very small in the sky. But yeah, it just gives a bit of context. You've got the marquee on the edge there. Just wanted to keep a bit of that in there. It was such a beautiful evening that it was one of those just incredible summer evenings that just seemed to last forever. And it was just, it was lovely. And this, to them, the rounders was a big thing. And I really like this shot. Just step back from the action. I got some really nice stuff up close. I was right in behind the batsman, getting some shots of the guys swinging, and getting all the kind of really close competitive stuff. But sometimes it's nice to just step back and get almost like an establishing shot. If we were talking in film terms, this would be an establishing shot, just to give a bit of context of where they are, the location, and when you've got light like that, you've got to make the most of it. What's this one? Oh yeah, talking of good light. This is from Kat and Will's wedding. So this is just a real simple, wedding reception, sort of standard wedding reception shot here. And you've got the guys playing their Jenga, drinking and having a laugh. And then you've got these two girls here that are just basking in the sun. And I love the fact that they're just sitting there with their eyes closed, mirroring each other's poses with the wine glasses. It just says so much about British summer weddings to me. I think it's really fun. It's a fun shot, this. And it's really nice. And what I also quite like is that I've got no eyes anywhere. I mean, this is lucky really, but they've obviously got their eyes shut, and this chap on the left with the shadow going straight through his eyes, that kind of brings out the street photographer in me. I really like that. But the main thing here is that these two ladies just basking in the light. I think it's a fun shot. This is from Priscilla and Josh's wedding. A lovely little intimate moment here. Nothing posed, nothing directed. This was literally after the ceremony. They just signed the register, took a back seat to sit down while the witnesses did their part, and they were just really close, really intimate. And I just happened to be kneeling down next to them. Not really close, but within a few feet, and I was actually photographing the witnesses. But as I turned round and I just saw what they were doing, I just took a couple of sneaky shots, and it's a lovely little moment. There's not much more to be said about that. It's just a beautiful little moment between the two of them. Now this one, on the surface, it just looks like a cake cutting shot, but when you look closely, you see that Andy, the groom there, is actually getting a pint of water poured over his head while the cake is being cut. Now, I don't know exactly why this happened, but it did happen, and it was kind of mad and weird at the same time, but it was funny. And fortunately, the guys saw the funny side of this, because they could not have. The gentleman with the pint glass was a little bit worse for wear, shall we say, but they both took it like champs, and I think it made quite an interesting photo. It's one of those moments where you kind of think, did that really just happen? And did I get a photo of it? Well, in this case, yes, thankfully I did. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into my thought process and why I picked some of those photos. I'd love to know what you think. If you've got any questions about any of the photos or anything, don't hesitate to ask. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.